In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the changes that are coming up with Update 5 that were announced by Larian today on their Panel of Hell livestream. These are not all the changes that are coming with Update 5, which is expected to drop sometime early next week, and we'll have a full breakdown of all patch notes at that time, but right now, let's talk about the things they revealed today. The first major change we're going to talk about is dice rolls. Larian has changed the way active dice rolls work, and now when you make an active dice roll, instead of using the system they had before where it just showed you the mark that you needed to hit with the die and you just clicked roll and you either hit or you missed, now you're going to have the actual check value, and then you're going to be able to apply your bonuses to this roll in order to try and reach that goal. So let's say you need to hit a 15 and you roll an 8, then you're going to be able to apply the correct, ability score and skill that apply to these things, your proficiency if that applies as well. So you're going to see all that math done on the screen now instead of all that being done behind the scenes, which should get you more interactive with your dice rolls. This also allows you to use spells in dialogues in order to enhance your dice rolls. So, for instance, maybe you forgot to use guidance, for instance. Well, now you can use that, and maybe you're not the character that has guidance, but your cleric does. So your cleric can use guidance on you in dialogue in order to make that happen. And if you're playing multiplayer, you can use that if one of your companions or one of your friends does that in dialogue as well. I think this is a huge change that will go a long way to making Baldur's Gate 3 feel more like D&D, as it makes you more involved and actually really gets you, enjoying that role process as you get to see how things work. Another big change coming to the game is the addition of background goals. Your background is no longer just going to give you skill bonuses now. It's also going to give you quests that you can do throughout the game that are going to give you inspiration points if you complete them, as well as experience. So if you want those inspiration points, which allow you to re-roll your roll should you fail, which may help in very crucial moments of the game, then you're going to want to do these background goals, and this is going to add more content to the game to do, so this is a nice addition. Probably one of the biggest changes besides the dice roll change is the change to camping. Instead of using the long rest at will like you were able to before in order to just basically, after every combat, just rest and get all your resources back, now you're going to have supplies in order to do this effectively, meaning you'll have to gather these as you go. So if you're, wanting one of those people that rests all the time, now you're going to have to use these supplies, and this means you're going to, be less effective. You can still rest if you don't have supplies or enough supplies, but it'll be less effective. For instance, maybe recovering half your health or half your, spells, etc. So you're going to need supplies in order to do this. I don't know how this is going to play out since I have not tested this. It's obviously a step in the right direction, but Larian may need to go further in order to make this rest thing really, not abusable, but we'll have to see. Another thing that's really cool that they've added to resting is that now the resting will take place wherever you are. So instead of going back to this mythical place that's your camp, no matter where you are, if you're in a dungeon or a swamp or wherever, now you're going to camp wherever you are, wherever it's applicable, and all of your cutscenes, dialogues, etc., all these things that happen to you are going to play out in the location that you are, making you feel more immersed and stop breaking that immersion when you're in the middle of an area. This is actually huge. I mean, for Larian to go re-render all this stuff in their every possible environment that you can have is massive, and that is a lot of work and very highly applauded that they've done that. Another big change coming to the game is the rework of Enemy A.I. I think this is something everyone can appreciate. And basically what they've done is they made the enemies smarter. They're going to be able to use ranged attacks if they can't get to you in melee. They're going to fling spells at you. They're going to try and use, bonus actions and dash. They're going to use everything at their arsenal to throw at you. I think this will make combat much more engaging. It remains to be seen how much this is going to impact the speed of combat, which is probably one of my biggest gripes in the game, how slow it takes. This may slow it down even further. However, if it's more engaging and more interesting, it might make it better. So we'll have to see how this goes, but this is a great change. Another interesting change to combat is the addition of non-lethal. Now you can attack enemies non-lethally, knock them out instead of kill them. And this has lots of implications in terms of how to resolve quests and maybe, preserve faction reputation so that you don't kill people that you don't want to kill, and maybe you can talk to them, have interesting dialogues afterward. So this was a kind of a small change from the exterior, but might have very, very long-term broad applications. Another really big change that's not necessarily combat related, but will help with combat is the changing of tooltips for spells and abilities in the game. I think this is one of those things they oversimplified when they were thinking it, trying to make it as easy for people to get into the game, but they left out a lot of helpful information. Now this is going to be there. They're going to have hyperlinks inside these descriptions, so that'll allow you to, mouse over terms kind of like the way you could in Pillars of Eternity 2 to learn how mechanics work from inside the game. And this should really help people broaden their understanding of the game without having to leave it. Obviously, we'll have still lots of data on the wiki to help people out if they have questions and lots of guides like that. But this should get you the basics of the game a little bit more easily so that, you're looking at more advanced concepts instead of just not really understanding even the fundamentals. Another thing that they've added to the game is a new point-and-click system. This means when you're moving your character around on the overworld, your character's going to talk more to you as you move around. They're going to say things. They're going to, if you ever wondered why you had a voice on your character, they're finally going to say things as you walk around. They're going to make comments about the world. Other characters will as well. So if this is something you wanted, this is finally going to be in the game. Those are the major things. There's a couple of tweaks with Shadowheart and her storyline. Obviously, I don't want to get into that because that's a little bit spoilery. But there are other changes that are coming with the patch notes I think people will be happy about that I didn't mention here that are going to be coming next week. I can't wait for you guys to see those. You guys are really going to enjoy those. So we'll have that video up next week when that's available, and you can really dig into those. We'll break down all those little nitty-gritty details for those who want to know everything about the game. But for now, I think you got a taste of what's coming, and it's good.